Katherine Legge is no stranger to pressure. But what happened after Rockingham has put her through one of the most hectic, emotional, and public tests of her career. Legge finds herself in the center of a storm that has divided the racing world as NASCAR fans wield social media like a weapon and gender-based scrutiny remains pervasive. But out of nowhere, she's received praises and support. Could this change NASCAR forever? The collision in Rockingham was just the beginning. During the early laps of the race, William Sawalich collided with Legge, spinning her car and producing a domino effect that eventually wrecked Kasey Kahne's. The result was not simply fan displeasure, but a digital firestorm. The hatred poured in from every channel, from heated criticism to hate mail, death threats, and extremely inappropriate comments. Legge didn't remain silent. In the latest episode of her podcast, Throttle Therapy, she addressed the outrage head-on, pulling no punches. The hate mail, the death threats, and the inappropriate sexual comments that I've received aren't just disturbing, they're unacceptable. Let me be very clear. I'm here to race and I'm here to compete, and I won't tolerate any of these threats to my safety or to my dignity, whether that's on track or off of it. Legge has made her name not through public relations gimmicks or token representation, but through 2 decades of hard-fought, sponsor-free racing. I've been racing professionally for 20 years. I'm 100% sure the OEMs and teams that employed me, without me bringing any sponsorship money, did not do so as a DEI hire or a gimmick. It's because I can drive a race car. She is capable of driving. Though her stock car racing experience is limited, her willingness to compete in one of motorsport's most difficult fields speaks much. What else speaks volumes? She initially failed to qualify for Rockingham, but received a ride at the last minute when JJ Yeley gave up his seat. It was a high-pressure scramble. She lined up ready to fight despite her new car and lack of track experience. Critics were ready to point fingers, particularly following the on-track incident. Legge explained, "I gave him, Sawalich, a lane. The reason the closing pace looks so high isn't because I braked mid-corner. I didn't. I stayed on my line, stayed doing my speed. He charged in a bit too hard. Understeered up a lane and into me, which spun me around, and Kasey Kahne was an unfortunate recipient." The accident, while regrettable, was not irresponsible. It was a racing incident. Nonetheless, Legge emerged as the antagonist in the web narrative. "There's a very thin line between feedback and personal attacks," she said. "It's really disappointing to see how often that line gets crossed." She's far from the only driver who has to exchange cars at the last minute or is involved in an incident beyond her control. However, unlike many of her male peers, the backlash has been exceptionally vile, rooted in her gender rather than her abilities. It is a toxic cycle. The level of hate that myself and my team are experiencing is part of a broader issue that I believe women specifically face in male-dominated spaces, she said. "We can't normalize this. There's nothing normal about it." Legge has not backed down, but rather doubled down. "Despite all of the noise, I am more focused than ever. My performance, and not my gender, is what defines me as a competitor." And if fans believe the reaction would compel her to retire, they've obviously never met Katherine Legge. "Luckily, I've been in tougher battles than you guys in the comment sections," she said with a smirk. She's not only racing for herself. Legge is becoming a symbol in a much bigger struggle for equity, respect, and acknowledgement. Not only has the ruckus grown louder, but so has her fan base. Among those protecting her in public, Marco Andretti took direct aim at the nasty critics and complimented Legge's tenacity. After a user called her unproven, NASCAR driver Ryan Vargas responded with a graphic showing Legge as the fastest female qualifier in Indy 500 history. Andretti joined in. "It's wild to me how many grown men talk badly about badass girls like this. Does it make them feel more manly from the couch or something?" Katherine Legge is a seasoned racer, having competed in 4 Indianapolis 500s and winning multiple IMSA races. However, at 44 years old, she is pushing herself outside of her comfort zone and embarking on a completely new adventure as she enters the world of stock car racing. When the British racing driver entered the NASCAR Cup race in Phoenix, she became the 17th woman, and the first in more than 7 years. Unfortunately, the highlights of her Cup debut were an early spin and a mid-race incident with Daniel Suarez. Undeterred, she announced an extended calendar of 12 races between the Cup and Xfinity series. Her second appearance was at Rockingham, where she pushed herself to run 2 of the circuit's more demanding ovals despite her scant expertise. Unfortunately, she was one of 2 drivers who did not qualify for the race. Despite beating 5 drivers in time trials, she missed the requisite owner points to secure her spot. But with the help of ELF Cosmetics, she was able to acquire a ride for the race with another team, Joey Gase Motorsports. However, she did not get the seat time she had hoped for since things went awry early on, and the leaders lapped her. Slowing into turn 1 at a much slower rate than the leaders around her, William Sawalik failed to react in time and smashed into her rear. Legge turned and collided with Casey Kane before hitting the outer wall. Her race was done. Legge will compete in 6 additional Xfinity Series races in 2025, including Talladega, Texas, Charlotte, Nashville, Atlanta, and her spiritual home, Indianapolis. She will also continue her Cup Series campaign with Live Fast Motorsports, beginning with the inaugural race in Mexico City and on to the high-stakes road courses of Chicago, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, and Richmond. Whether she's battling trolls online or opponents on the track, one thing is certain: Katherine Legge isn't going anywhere. And with each lap, she rewrites the story. She is not here to be tolerated. She is here to win. Still, the criticism shows no signs of abating. Legge has revealed that she has received not only verbal abuse, but also specific threats to her safety. We need more accountability from fans, social platforms, and the sanctioning bodies themselves, she commented. No athlete should feel unsafe after doing their job. Legge's passion for racing extends beyond his professional career. It is a mission. I could be on a lake somewhere enjoying life, she said, but I love this sport too much to walk away. Her determination to stay with NASCAR despite everything is both bold and courageous. Behind the scenes, team members were impacted. According to Legge, "It's not just me, my engineers, my mechanics, they're getting caught up in this too. And they're some of the most hardworking people I've ever met. They don't deserve this." Legge understands that the path ahead will be difficult, but that has never stopped her before, and it won't now. As the NASCAR season progresses, so will she. With grit, purpose, and a clear message to the world, don't confuse criticism with cruelty, and never mistake gender for weakness. In fact, her mere appearance in the NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity Series this season has already caused commotion. NASCAR's Cup Series will make its inaugural visit to Mexico City's Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Legge will become the first woman to participate at the highest level in the sport, which is historic in and of itself. But what's even more striking is her determination to battle despite adversity. "I'm not here to tick a box," she recently stated. "I'm here because I belong." That kind of conviction cannot be trained, bought, or manufactured. And despite the clamor, the hatred, and the constant second-guessing of her every action, Katherine Legge continues to show up, suit up, and silence her skeptics in the only manner that truly matters in racing, on the track. Legge's path has emerged as one of the most interesting stories of the 2025 season in a sport where storylines pique fans' interest and controversy creates headlines. She is no longer merely racing for place. She's running for a reason. NASCAR has long been criticized for its lack of diversity, both in terms of gender and origin. However, Legge's perseverance is forcing the sport and its fan base to confront itself, to ask difficult questions, to establish sharper distinctions between enthusiasm and toxicity. And maybe the most stunning option of all, not to flee, not to retreat, but to stand her ground, face the hate, and keep racing anyway.